Today we're making Masquerade Red, which is a hoppy red ale that uses a lot of West Coast hops from Yakima Valley. You're going to get some Columbus, some Amarillo, and it's got an original gravity of about 1060. You should ferment out to about 1012, 1013, so about 6.5% alcohol. But really, yeah, I used some British malts from Simpson's, and then some raw malt from the Midwest, and then a little bit of touch of chocolate for color. So I'm aiming for like a deep red color, and then some really like bright citrusy, candied grapefruit hoppiness. So this will be dry hopped. We're mashing at about 150 to get a pretty fermentable wort that'll attenuate out. So yeah, this will be kind of a session beer, and by really Jester King standards, our session beers are going to be, fairly big. So yeah, this is one of our Jester series beers, which just means a little lower in alcohol content, maybe not quite as big a beer, but should no compromising on really the flavor involved in it. So yeah, Masquerade Red. Mashing out right now all these enzymes that help convert starch to sugar that have been our friends for the last hour. We're now trying to kill them mercilessly because we're happy with the profile of the worts, since I think we're at 150. Anyhow, so we're mashing out right now just to stop enzyme conversion and kind of lock in the character of the wort. So we just finished lautering. We ran off about 8 gallons, took a pre-gravity reading, a pre-boil reading, about 1047. So after a 90-minute boil, we're going to get up to about 1060 original gravity. So we just started the boil. We're going to boil for 90 minutes, or we start heating. Once we get up to a boil, we'll do about 90 minutes. We're going to do a 60-minute hop addition of Columbus, and then a 10-minute hop addition of 3 ounces of Columbus. So that late hop addition is going to add a lot of flavor to the beer. Not a ton of IBUs, but the goal, and with all the big late hop addition, is to get a nice smooth bitterness with a lot of flavor. So we'll add a little foam control here in a bit, so we're not going to get a big boil over. But now that we're done lautering, it's time to boil the beer, or time to boil the wort. Okay, so we're getting ready to chill the wort down to pitching temperature, and we have 2 immersion chillers. We have the chiller right now that's being sanitized. It's actually going to go into the wort to chill it down to pitching temperature. And then since right now the water temperature in Texas is pretty warm, it's very hard to get down to pitching temperature with just the chiller. So we have a pre-chiller, which is going to be run through an ice bath to get the water really cold, which will go through the immersion chiller. So it's kind of an extra step to get the beer as cold as possible, the wort as cold as possible, as quickly as possible.
Why do we want it quickly chilled down?
We want to lock in the hop flavor and aromas. Basically, there's 2 things. We want to lock in the hop flavor and aroma by chilling very quickly, and then we also want to avoid the precursors to DMS, which are produced, dimethyl sulfide, which are produced at temperatures basically above 140 degrees F. So the faster we can get down from boiling to 140 F means that there'll be less DMS in the beer, and DMS kind of creates, it's described as kind of a cooked corn flavor, so we want to avoid that. Pilsner malt is notorious for having a lot of precursors to DMS, so that's typically why you'll see like a 90-minute boil in some Pilsner beers. But so those 2 things are why we really want to be able to have the capacity to chill down the wort quickly. So yeah, we're just about to chill down the wort after a 90-minute boil here. So go ahead and cut the flame. And the immersion chiller will go into the wort. And then we have water running through the pre-chiller. Is there enough water in there? Not really. I can use a little more. Okay. I'm going to circulate the immersion chiller. And so if you feel this right now, it's really hot. There's just all the heat that's in the boil right now is being absorbed in the water out. If you feel the water in, it's fairly cool. So cold in, hot out. And really what we're trying to do is get below 140 fairly quickly. Alright, so now the beer, or the wort, is below 140 degrees F, so we're not worried about DMS precursors. So now, just to avoid bacterial contamination from wild yeast strains in the air, we've covered our boil kettle with sanitized aluminum foil, and we'll let the chiller run to bring down the temperature another 60 degrees. So that's what we have here. Nice covered kettle, very homebrew style. So it's time to whirlpool. What we're going to do is kind of create a cone of the trub from the hop residue and the hot and cold break, which is going to form in the middle of the kettle, and that'll allow us to siphon from the side of the boil kettle to get nice clear wort and leave as much trub as possible behind in the boil kettle. Yeah, so we're siphoning from the kettle into our fermentation vessel here, our 6-gallon carboy, and we're trying to siphon from the side and then slowly move down to the bottom to try to take as much clear wort as we can. Alright, so we've racked into our carboy here. So we have about 5 gallons, and it's still, just this time of year, trying to chill the wort, we're still at about 80 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the carboy into our chest freezer overnight to chill it down to about 68 degrees where we want to ferment. So tomorrow we're going to pitch the yeast. And that's really the final stage of getting the beer and going. I mean, at this point, us brewers have worked hard to make this wort, and then the yeast are going to take it from there. But really, I mean, we need to have the right pitching rate, the proper amount of aeration, and good fermentation temperature control. So those are kind of like the three of the big factors in fermentation. So that's kind of what'll further things along to making beer. So, but really, this is the final step for this evening. We've got a nice 5-gallon batch of wort here, and we'll take a gravity reading here in a little bit to see what we came out at. We're shooting for 1060, so we'll see how well we did. Yeah, so that's.
Why do you want the temperatures to be so similar?
Well, sure. We don't want to shock the yeast. When we say, for example, we add yeast that is at room temperature to yeast that's maybe say 65 degrees, the yeast are kind of gonna freak out. You really have to kind of baby the yeast. So we'll get a nice yeast starter going, and we'll have that at about the same temperature as that we pitch the yeast into. So just everything's consistent. The yeast aren't freaked out by a rapid temperature change, and so they'll be nice and content and happy, and we'll have a nice healthy ferment. So that's what we're aiming for.